Browser will render the elements of an HTML document that has no CSS from left to right, top to bottom, in the same order as it exists in the document. This is called the flow of the elements in HTML. In addition, the properties that provide style HTML elements. CSS includes properties that change how a browser positions elements. These properties specify where an element is located on the page. If the elements can share lines with other elements and other related attributes. In this lesson, you will learn 5 properties to adjusting positions of HTML elements in a browser: position, display, z-index, float, clear. Each of these properties will allow us to position and view elements on a web page. They can be used in conjunction with any other styling properties you may know. Okay. Position. Take a look at the block level elements in the image below on some website. H1 800 by 36, 300 by 100 by 150, 800 by 18. Okay. Block level elements like these boxes create a block full width of their parent element, and they prevent other elements from appearing in the same horizontal space. Notice that block level elements in the image above take up their own line of space, therefore don't overlap each other. In the browser to the right, you can see block level elements also constantly appearing outside of the browser. This is the default position for block level elements. The default position for an element can be changed by setting its position property. The position property can take one of 5 values: static, relevant, relative, absolute, fixed, and sticky. Default value does not need to be specified. In the next few exercises, you'll learn about the values in the list above. For now, it's important to understand that if you favor the default position of an HTML element, you don't need to set its position property. Styles.css, add a declaration to the .question rule set and set the position to static. Okay. The coding example above instructs the browser to expect a relative position of the .green box element. It does not specify where the .green box element should be positioned on the page. This is done by the accompanying the position declaration with one of or more of the following offset properties that will move the element away from its default static position. Top moves the element down from the top. Bottom moves the element up from the bottom. Left moves the element away from the left side to the right. Right moves the element away from the right to this, away from the right side to the left. You can specify values in pixels, EMs, percentages, among other things. To dial in exactly how far you need the element to move, it's also important to note that offsets properties will not work if the element position properties default to static. In the example above, the element of the green box class will be moved 50 pixels to the right, to 50 pixels, move down 50 pixels, and to the right 120 pixels from its default static position. The image below displays the new position of the box. Offsetting the relative elements will not affect the position of the other elements. Inside the question, we'll also change the position property relative. Let's offset from the top. Top. Ready. Okay. Another way to modify the position of an element is by setting its position to absolute. When the element's position is set to absolute, all other elements on the page will ignore the element and act like it's not present on the page. The element will be positioned relative to its closest positioned parent element. While offset properties can be used to determine the final position from there, take a look at the image below. Website building in progress. Come back later. Text is displayed from the static position at the top left corner of its parent container. It has offset property, declaration of top 300 and static position at 300 pixels down and 0 pixels. In styles.cs, that position inside of the header will set to absolute. Absolute. Okay. Changing the position to absolute, you may have noticed that the header shrunk horizontally. We'll learn why in the alternate and later exercise. We're now set the width property of the header to 100%. Width 100%. Okay. When element's position is set to absolute, as in the last exercise, elements will scroll with the rest of the document when a user scrolls. You can fix an element to a specific position on the page, regardless of the user scrolling, by setting its position to fixed and copying it with a familiar offset property, top, bottom, left, and right. In the example of title element will remain fixed to the position no matter where the user scrolls on the page, like the image below. The setting is often used for navigation bars on a web page. Install.cs change the position property inside of a header. We'll set to fixed. Fixed. Notice that the welcome section is not covered up by the header. It's because when we change the position of the header to fixed, we removed it from the flow of the HTML document. Let's fix that. The position of the welcome element to relative. Okay, so welcome. Offset welcome by 200 pixels. Everything might not be displayed correctly just yet. We'll fix it later. Top 200 pixels. Since static and relative position elements stay in the normal flow of the document, when the user scrolls the page or parent element, these elements will scroll too. Since fixed and absolute position elements are removed from the document flow, when a user scrolls, these elements will stay in their specified offset positions. The sticky value is another position value that keeps an element document flow as the user's goals, but sticky to a specified position as the page is scrolled further. This is done by using the sticky value along with the familiar offset properties as well as one new one. An example of the dot box bottom remain in the relative position and scroll as usual. Reaches 200 pixels when the top will stick to the position. Reaches the bottom of the page container where it will unstick. Rejoin the flow of the document. Inside style.cs, change the position elements with the class questions to sticky. Okay, so okay. In the box on the web page. The box on the web page have a combination of different position boxes, and therefore their content can overlap with each other, making content difficult to read or consume. The example above, the green box element overlaps the top of the blue box. The z-index property controls how far back or how far forward an element should appear in the web page when elements overlap. This can be thought of as the depth of an element, with the deeper elements appearing behind shallower elements. The z-index property accepts integer values. Depending on their value, the integers instruct the browser the order in which elements should be laid on the web page. In this example, we set the blue box position relative and z next to 1. We change the position relative because the z property does not work in static elements. Change the position to relative because the index property does not work with static elements. The z-index of 1 moves the blue box element forward because the z-index value has not been explicitly specified further, which means it has a default value of 0. Take a look at the example below. In style, I set the header to 10.